Alex, we're back.
Well, I mean, we're kind of back.
About 2 minutes ago.
We haven't really left.
We talked about some power. We talked about Nathan Gerby being like a koala, the Leafs, a Zamboni driver, and the Habs last episode. But now we're going to do a trade deadline preview of the rest of the teams in the league.
We're approximately 20... What time does the trade deadline end? 3 o'clock?
I thought it was like 1. And then
Either way, we're about 24 hours away from the trade deadline.
Exactly.
So
no trades have come in yet. We have been checking Twitter religiously.
it's just...
Because, as everyone does. Oh, but the Golden Knights have recalled Patrick Brown.
Nah, I don't care.
Isn't that the mayor of Brampton's name?
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, anyway.
Let's start with the Metro.
The Metro Division, I think we should. And I don't think there's a better team to start with than the Carolina Hurricanes, Alex.
So I have a couple notes here. They're obviously fighting for that third spot in the division.
Yes.
After that win last night, they are tied for first in the wild card spot, 3 points back of Philly for the third spot in the Metro with a game in hand. Now, you know, they've lost Dougie Hamilton. For the rest of the season, are they going to look for a replacement? We talked about Jeff Petrie in the last episode, but kind of been turned down with the whole from headlines. How about Sammy Vatanen?
I like that. The only reason, though, I might think they don't do it is they don't like rentals.
That's true. The reason I put Sammy Vatanen in here is because, you know, they're a team with a whole lot of defensemen, and it's not like they don't have players who they can bring up.
Jake Bean.
Someone like Jake Bean. You know, once Dougie Hamilton comes back, they don't need necessarily a Sammy Vatanen. Obviously, it'd be nice if they had Sammy Vatanen, but I think they might look at Sammy Vatanen as a potential option just for this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just don't think they're happy with what they currently have.
I think also a big thing to remember here is they have an additional first-round pick.
They
do, of course, and it's the Leafs. It's like poetry, isn't it? It rhymes that they have the Leafs first-round pick.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going to use, if I'm Carolina, I try and hold on to one of those because of how special everyone is just raving about this draft. And I would be amazed if they didn't use one of those picks to call up Chicago and say, "Hey, give me Robin Lehner. What do you want?"
So I was listening to, obviously it was on headlines last night that, you know, obviously both Mrazek and Reimer potentially injured. It hasn't really been talked about what the severity is at this point, but they're expected to call up both of their goalies in the AHL. You know, obviously there's been rumors about them looking for a goalie. Apparently, the asking price for Robin Lehner was a little bit too high. Mm-hmm. I don't know how comfortable they were. That's what I heard on headlines last night, at least. And then I saw, I think it was Pierre LeBrun tweet saying, "Why? Don't be surprised if they look at Ryan Miller."
Really?
Yeah. Why not?
He's old.
You know, he hasn't been too bad.
I wonder, because I forgot about Alex Nedeljkovic. I know how to say it, but
Alex
it's just...
Nedeljkovic?
Yes, it's just very difficult to say. There's a reason I'm getting jaw surgery, Alex. But I wonder... I mean, yeah, the price is going to be high, but...
Are you willing to give it up for half a year? Not even?
I wouldn't be surprised, because Chicago aren't going to keep him. Because the points signed toward... All the signs point towards Leonard leaving, because he wants to, quote, be paid fairly, and Chicago sounds like they don't want to do that.
Right.
So, and they're obviously Chicago we're going to get to a little later, but they've also got some other pieces they're probably going to sell off. So,
I don't know if Lehner goes, like, you know, they've been talking about, I feel like it's been a couple months that we've heard about Robin Lehner being traded and Carolina being one of the names. I don't know if that's something they do.
See, I thought I saw that Reimer was going to be, quote, out a while. Now, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but in the video of the post game in Carolina, did you see James Reimer going over to the goalie? Was it me or was he walking really weirdly?
No, he was wearing goalie pants.
He looked uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, because he was wearing goalie pants. I can't imagine they're that comfortable.
I saw Rod Brindamore saying he was going to be out a while.
I didn't see that. You might have. I didn't see it. Another player who's on the block, Jake Gardiner.
Yeah, and apparently not a lot of people are interested.
It has not gone well for him this season.
I like Jake, but I'm really happy the Habs. Oh, I just hit the mic. I'm so sorry. But I'm actually quite happy that they didn't sign Jake Gardiner because. Oh,
it's everywhere.
David Harris is on TV, ladies and gentlemen.
It's everywhere.
So happy, but yeah, that sucks for Gardiner, eh?
Yeah, I really think I think there was something wrong.
Barry for Gardiner?
No. I still think something's wrong. I wonder if this offseason, if he doesn't get traded, then he ends up having some type of surgery.
Mm-hmm. One last thing on Carolina.
Yes.
Shout out to James Reimer giving Dave Harris a signed stick.
That's pretty cool.
What a beaut.
Pretty cool.
What a nice person.
I wonder if they were both there at the same time because I know Reimer played for the Marlies.
Yeah.
And I wonder if David Harris was there. I don't know.
It's James. He's an angel.
So just in case you didn't know, the Hurricanes traded Julien Gauthier for Joey Keane. Makes complete sense for the Rangers, at least. It's a prospect for prospect deal. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense, I think, for the Rangers, and I guess we'll get to that after.
Of course. And going next on the Metro Division, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, of course, I think a big wild card, and I had him a bunch in my notes, was Josh Anderson, but it sounds like he's going to be out longer term.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, there goes probably Columbus's biggest trade chip, and I don't... See, what I forgot to tell you is I have labels for all these teams here, and for Columbus, I just said, not buyer or seller, I just put meh.
I don't think they're doing much. Well, obviously, I said a couple weeks ago that Josh Anderson might be moved. Friedman said it. I didn't hear anything. That Anderson might be moved just because the contract situation, but now he's injured. I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved in the summer or like at the draft because he's going to be an RFA. Yeah. And I don't know how many people want to deal with Darren Ferris.
Yeah.
I just don't think, they're sitting just outside of a playoff spot. I believe still. Tied because of games in hand. I don't think they want to bring in some names just simply because it's the second straight year that Jarmo Kekalainen would do something like this. They're already missing their second and third round picks this season. They had 2 picks last year. I think it was a 4th and a 7th.
Didn't show up that first day of the draft.
Right. So I don't know if it makes sense for them to go out and load up again.
Also, according to NHL standings, of course, there's the shenanigans of overtime loss, but the Blue Jackets have officially lost 8 straight, apparently.
Yeah.
Which, it sucks. Let me tell you, that does a lot to your season. And, hey, man, game loss, they catch up to you eventually.
For sure.
Shall we move on to the New Jersey Devils?
They are absolute sellers.
Good for them.
Not even a question.
Great returns for Andy Green. Blake Coleman, of course.
They got a 2nd round pick. Did we talk about the Andy Green trade?
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Blake Coleman
trade?
No,
we did. Did
we talk about the... Yeah, we did. Obviously, just in case you weren't listening, Andy Green was traded to the New York Islanders for a 2nd and David Quenneville, who's a prospect, or he's 21.
Warm body.
Yeah. They traded Blake Coleman to the Lightning for a 1st and Nolan Foote, who's a forward prospect and is probably going to be really good. They have 3 first-round picks this year.
Wow.
Now, I saw yesterday 3 names on headlines. Number 1, Sammy Vatanen.
Probably going
to be moved. Wayne Simmons. Most likely going to be moved. We know Vancouver was calling, but they have their own issues to deal with. And Kyle Palmieri.
Oh, and by the way, quick thing on Simmons. Pittsburgh's apparently interested too.
Yes.
Palmieri, though.
Palmieri could get you something. And let me bring this up here, if I can find it, about who is it from? I don't know where I put it.
The way hating music.
Here we go. I found it.
Hey.
It's from Frank Cervelli talking about Kyle Palmieri. So the belief is Noah Hanifin was part of a package that the Calgary Flames had put together to try and land Taylor Hall from the New Jersey Devils in November. Speculates they might do a similar offer for Kyle Palmieri.
So
that would be very interesting.
First of all, Ray Shero is terrible. Honestly, how did you not take that deal? By the way, I feel really bad for Noah Hanifin because he's just a really good, I'd say, top 4 defenseman. But because of where he was drafted, everyone's like, oh.
Well, he should have been drafted instead of Marner, right?
Defenseman, man. But hey, that's just good for Carolina. Sorry, for the Devils. I forget their new GM's name, or the interim GM. Scott Fitzgerald?
Tom Fitzgerald.
Tom Fitzgerald, sorry. Who's Scott?
I'm not sure.
But he's done a really good job there. And I guess I thought that maybe it was instead Shero that had the idea of not burning it to the ground, but starting to sell off big pieces. But it sounds like it was actually Fitzgerald plus maybe the other side of the organization.
I think that's listen, obviously from the Flames perspective, I think Palmieri would be something they'd want to add. But I guess we'll get to that later. But from the Devils' perspective, what's the one thing? Like, we heard about the Taylor Hall, right? They wanted defensive prospects. And I get Noah Hanifin, I guess, isn't necessarily a prospect.
He's young and has terms, though.
Right. That's the thing. He's still young. I don't know if he's necessarily what people would consider a prospect. But he's an NHL player. 10,000%.
Just a quick thing. I love this about Hanifin. He came right out of his draft year, 79 games played, 81, 79, 80, 62 this year. Underrated thing, stays healthy.
Yeah, man. Listen, and I know I was making a joke about him he should have been picked instead of Marner, but like he's a good defenseman.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's had his struggles, obviously in Carolina and then in Calgary a little bit, just because of the team. Like,
wasn't his Carolina coach Bill Peters?
Yeah, but this would be great this is a great pickup for the Devils if they can get him.
Oh yeah,
absolute steal.
Again,
maybe not a steal, but
we'll talk about Calgary later. But that's a team that it sounds like they've been so close to making so many great deals, but just everything has fallen through.
I have a question. Louis Domingue just passed through waivers. Generally can get you something if he can go through waivers. You think they get something for Louis Domingue?
Maybe Colorado, because apparently they want goaltending depth. I think Vegas did as well, but is he really that much of an upgrade from Malcolm Subban?
No. How about
a 6th?
But does Carolina call? Like, I know he's not, depending on how long the injuries are for both Mrazek and Reimer, is that potentially someone who calls, say, okay, you know what, we'll give you a 6th round pick for Louis Domingue just to kind of lay us over. We'll have Alex Nedeljkovic and Louis Domingue for a couple weeks until one of Mrazek and Reimer come back. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
You know what I remember from when the Leafs got Martin Marincin from the Oilers?
Please tell me.
He wasn't good enough to make the Oilers' defense. Louis Domingue was a disastrous goaltender on the Devils.
Yeah, but he was so good on the... Here's my... I look at what's happened with certain goalies is... Look at last year how good Mrazek and McElhinney were last year. Like, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
I can imagine you go to Carolina. If Louis Domingue goes to Carolina, he'll do okay. Like, you have to look at the same... Like, you look how he did in Tampa Bay. He did pretty good last year in Tampa Bay. This year started off poorly with New Jersey. Could he be traded to Carolina and kind of revitalize his season? I don't see why not.
Maybe if they don't want to pay the price for a Leonard in that.
I think so.
Yeah, get the cheap goalie, then give Montreal Jake Bean in the first. I like that idea, Alex.
Never said that.
Shall we move on to the New York Islanders?
Yeah.
Who have not had a good stretch.
No, they traded for Andy Green, obviously, after Adam Pelech, not sure.
It's Pelech.
Pelech was injured, and obviously we know how. I didn't realize how big of an impact Adam Pelech had on the team until recently. Obviously, bringing in Andy Green, but this is a name that's been linked. I've seen linked to Kreider lately.
See, that's really funny you say that. I have them mentioned as a stealth Kreider pick because I see it as they were willing to give Panarin like $12 million.
Right.
And he goes to the New York Rangers. So I wonder if there's a part of Lou that says, I'm going to make a sneaky move to go get Chris Kreider.
Yeah, but I think unless obviously in the summer he's a UFA, but if he wants to get him for now in a potential playoff run, I think he might be paying a bigger price than most teams.
I think Lou would love him.
Probably.
Big, tough.
I think Barry Trotz would love him too.
Oh, yeah.
I just think he's going to have to pay a bigger price than most teams.
You think maybe it's Sorokin, who was not traded?
No, not for Chris Kreider.
I feel really bad for Jagger there with the Sorokin thing. Good for Bob McKenzie, by the way, to step in and be like, hey, stuff happens, guy. Because Darren Dreger has...
Things happen, man. I understand.
Dreger has had a rough few weeks. Years.
Not few years. I think this year in particular. This NHL season in particular.
The whole OK Paul thing was getting pretty brutal.
Yeah,
but
I feel bad.
Hey, he does a lot better than I ever will. So, what else is there really to say about the Islanders? I don't have much on them.
Nothing else. I don't think they're going to be a big player in any other team. Like, what are other names out there? You obviously have the likes of Vlad Namestnikov and Jean-Gabriel Pageau, players like that. Could they potentially go after them? Sure. I just don't think is that the upgrade you're looking for? Is that really the upgrade you're looking for? I think unless it's Kreider, I don't really think they do much.
They could be in on all those players, and we just don't know because Lou.
Exactly.
It's just how it works over in the Isle. But anyway, we're talking about the Islanders of New York. Let's go to the New York Rangers. And, of course, they will be the team that we all have our eyes on because they have the biggest piece of the deadline, and that is Chris Kreider.
Correct. They are sellers. I think they're sellers. Like, you know what the thing is for me is the wild card race is a little messy because right now they sit 4 points out of a wild card spot,
which is incredible. Sorokin, man.
Yeah, Shesterkin.
Sorry, Sorokin's the Islanders one.
They could trade Kreider. Do they? Here's what the thinking that goes through. Obviously, they just traded for Julien Gauthier, which is something that they obviously want in a young forward prospect. Could they move one of their right-handed defensemen? Because I look at who they have. They have Jacob Trouba.
Good player. Just locked him up.
They have Adam Fox.
Great name. Adam. Love it.
And Tony DeAngelo. The name I put is Tony DeAngelo because he's going to get paid in the summer. And you could potentially bring in some younger forward pieces that they've been looking for.
A center. Behind Zibanejad, because I don't believe...
You don't think Ryan Strome is at the second-line center?
I don't think he's a good enough second-line center in this league. I love that he's turned his career around, but I wouldn't bet on. You can never have too many centers.
That's true. That is true. And I don't think they're going to move any of their goaltenders.
No, that's really gone away, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I think something's going to happen in the summer.
I'm thinking more and more that maybe it's the end for Lundqvist.
Yeah, and I don't think it's retirement. No, I think he wants to play. What I've been reading and what I've been seeing is that it seems like he really wants to keep playing, but I just don't think that can happen in New York, or at least for the Rangers.
I've just gotten really sad thinking like this is the end for Henrik Lundqvist.
What are you gonna do? They don't have another option. You're not going to trade. And Matt, you have Georgiev and Igor Shesterkin. That is a crazy duo.
Shesterkin.
And what are you going to do? You can't. keep all three of them.
No, you can't.
I'm surprised at how they're going to do this for the rest of the season. To be honest,
the Rangers themselves have been pretty quiet, like players saying, "Oh, we're making it work," but let's be honest, it doesn't. The roster space.
It's going to be
carrying another goalie. It's just
And I was looking at other players. I just don't think there's much else to sell on that team. Like, a lot of it is just depth pieces, kind of. I mean, you could go ahead and look at next year. I just don't know if that's something they're interested in. I think Pavel Buchnevich is up next year as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you move him.
You don't move Elias Anderson either.
What do you mean? Why? You don't think you can move Elias Anderson?
No, I think you could move him. I just think it would be better if the Rangers really just take a step back with the kid. Be patient with him. We talked about this a few times. Like, players go at their own pace.
Right.
So
I don't think it'd be the worst idea to keep him either, because he's a center.
Yeah, he's got personality to him. I've always liked him. When he threw his silver medal into the stands of the World Juniors, I liked it. There's a part of me that was like, yeah, you lost. You're not happy about it.
Yeah, but you don't throw your medal.
You know what? We can agree to disagree on that. There's too much to talk about.
We just do that so much.
The Philadelphia Flyers. Never in my life has there been a team that these are my notes for them. Blah, blah, whatever. I don't get the Flyers, and I never will.
They're going to make the playoffs.
And I don't think they're going to get out the first round.
Oh, but it doesn't matter as long as they make the playoffs. For a team like that, I don't think they care.
Why are they interested in Jeff Carter?
They need a center, Nolan Patrick.
But Carter's got... Doesn't he still have term?
A couple of years. This year and next, or 2 more years.
He's old. What are you doing?
Yeah, but the thing is for them is... it's Nolan Patrick's not going to be back for the rest of the year, and I don't get the whole Jeff Carter thing either, because for me is if that's the case, okay, what's the price for Carter? Not entirely sure, but we talked about, I think last week, about Vincent Trocheck.
By the way, Carter has 3 years left
this year and 2 more.
Yes. 5.2, 7.2, 7.27.
Yeah, what? But it depends on how much longer he's going to keep playing.
Shout out to Tom Wilson who just scored, tied it up.
Why not call Florida? Hey, say Vincent Trocheck.
Trocheck for Ghost Bear?
Oh God!
I think that's a nice. I would do that. Gostis Bear for Trocheck. Well, no, actually. If I'm Florida, I don't do that deal at all because I would keep Trocheck. Actually, no, because...
But they want to move if they want to move Trocheck, they will move Trocheck.
Oh, without a question.
I think there's a whole list of teams who'd be interested in Vincent Trocheck.
But hey, I think Ghost Bear could work. I think Ghost Bear...
Well, we'll see. I think he's in the AHL right now. He's on a conditioning stint.
I think I saw that, yeah. It's like that. Yeah, you look at their centers. Claude Giroux can do... weird things. I forgot Kevin Hayes is 7 years. It's $7 million.
Yuppers.
And then you look at Sean Couturier, and he's amazing.
Is he a center as well?
Yeah, no, Sean Couturier is amazing, and a center.
I thought Claude Giroux.
No, Giroux's been on his wing most of the time.
Right.
Remember, Couturier was a Selke finalist.
No, I remember. I know he's a center. I didn't realize Giroux.
He's French.
I thought. Who? Couturier?
Yeah.
Is Giroux French?
Yeah, I don't know if he's real French, but he's. No. I think he's from Quebec. Hold on, I have to look up if Sean Couturier is from Quebec. I think he is. Otherwise, I'm going to be really silly. Sean Couturier is from Phoenix, Arizona.
So close. Wow.
Really? I don't believe that.
So close.
How is he from Phoenix and we've never talked about that before?
Because no one cares.
Because, but Austin Matthews.
Yeah, that's why.
That's right, I went there. He's from Phoenix. Jesus. Any more on the Flyers?
Do you have anything? No, I don't have anything else on the Flyers. Like, obviously, they're in the fight for that third place. Like, they currently sit in it.
Aren't they always? Just in the race, but
I don't think they're going to go far. Carter, if anyone's going to bring them anywhere, it's going to be Carter Hart.
Pittsburgh. Jason Zucker's been amazing for them.
Jason Zucker's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting for first with Washington.
Yeah, this game going on right now is going to be huge. Massive.
You know who's been a name I've heard?
Would they be a Buffalo Sabre?
Yes.
Bringing the band back together.
Connor Sheary.
But last
year of the deal.
No, yeah.
It's the last year of the deal. They're looking to bring in another depth forward. Wouldn't be surprised.
They've been in on Simmons as well, apparently.
They've been in on Simmons.
Zach Bogosian is one of the team's.
I could see that if they want to bring in some depth defensemen.
Yeah, bring in him and, maybe that, bring in his teammate as well, like you say, Connor Sheary.
I don't hate that idea.
No.
They're going in. They're loading up. They already brought in Jason Zucker.
Puts him with Crosby and Zucker, gets a bunch of points, and then makes like another 6-year contract or something, because that's just how it works in Pittsburgh. But
no, they won't re-sign Connor Sheary.
A big thing also, they've been looking at depth centermen. So I don't know if they're going to pay the price for Pajot, but maybe a Derek Grant, maybe a Nate Thompson.
Maybe, because I think when you look at Pajot, I don't know how interested Ottawa is in just a single pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you the couple other names you said, Derek Grant and Nate Thompson, I think you can just throw a pick at Montreal and Anaheim, and I think they'd be happy enough. Whereas Ottawa's looking for a little bit more.
And maybe, bear with me here, maybe Joe Thornton.
No, I don't think Joe Thornton goes to.
Why?
I think Joe Thornton, if he's gonna go somewhere, it's gonna be a team that I don't like.
You think he's going to Boston?
Yeah.
It would be like poetry.
It'd be awful.
But still, I'd like to see him in Pittsburgh.
I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Jumbo Joe. By the way, buyers, I have Pittsburgh listed at shopping at the Tim's drive-thru. Sorry, they're stopping at the Tim's drive-thru. They have all their order, but maybe they're getting a coffee or something. Maybe they're getting a donut.
Maybe.
Have you had that new, it's like a pink donut,
Nope.
and it has, frosting and sprinkles? It's like a cupcake.
Not.
It is delicious.
Oh, God.
Absolutely delicious, Alex. I'll tell you that.
Maybe I'll try it tomorrow.
You should. Shall we finish off the Metropolitan Division?
With the Washington Capitals.
I have them listed as unloading the car because I think they've made their move. They now, of course, have probably one of the most physical teams with Wilson, Brendan Dillon, Radko Gudas, and all that. So, and like every year, Alex, there's word about them being interested in Mike Green.
That I thought was interesting.
But I don't know if maybe me bringing in Brendan Dillon takes them out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if they go after Mike Green, just looking at their lineup already. Obviously, we've heard quite a bit about Nick Jensen on the move, potentially. Signed last year. He was brought in last year from Detroit as well. And then signed to a 4-year contract extension.
Yeah, they did that right away, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I don't know if they go after Mike Green necessarily, though. Just let me pull up their lines. 30 seconds, not even. Right, so it just doesn't make sense.
God bless Daily Faceoff, eh?
Well, okay, the right side right now is Carlson,
Gross.
Jensen, and Gudas. Brendan Dillon's playing with John Carlson on the left.
Really?
Orlov is playing with Jensen, and Michael Kempney is playing on the left with Gudas.
Speaking of John Carlson, oh no, I think Hagelin just scored.
No.
And Carlson was there.
So
yeah,
they could potentially bring in Mike Green. If Nick Jensen, they're going to trade him, Nick Jensen.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Other than that, I don't think that makes much sense for the Washington Capitals. But I think another move that they might be potentially looking at is bringing in a depth forward.
Like who?
Tyler Ennis.
I like that idea a lot.
Just because I saw Tyler Ennis was on the move, I'm not entirely sure about other depth forwards. I don't consider bringing in Nemestikov necessarily a depth forward move because I think he can play every single night. Right?
If the Sens, we're jumping a bit ahead here, but if the Sens get a decent pick for Nemestikov, are you going to apologize for being really mad at them earlier in the year?
Maybe. I'll think about it. I don't care about the Sens, man.
Well, anyway.
Okay.
We're moving to the Atlantic Division, and we'll start with the Boston Bruins. They're also in the drive-thru. I don't like the Andre Kasha deal.
Why?
He's never healthy.
Yeah, but if he can be healthy, that is And they got rid of David. So, the biggest part of that deal, more than Ondrej Kase, is that they got rid of David Backes, and they're about to re-sign Torrey frickin' Krug.
I don't want to give up my rental, but I want to give up my first. We're gonna go give it for Ondrej Kase, who is never healthy,
and give up David Backes. Don't forget about that. I think a lot of people are seeing the first round pick and Axel Anderson just for Ondrej Kase, but you can't forget, and I get there's 25% retained, but that's still $4.5 million off the books. That's a lot of money. I guarantee you, I think they re-sign Torrey Krug.
I think he was going to stay no matter what.
I don't know about that. You
don't think he takes a cut like everyone else
does?
How
much of a cut?
They're winners, man.
I don't think it's how much of a cut. Like Nathan MacKinnon said the same thing. Okay, but Nathan MacKinnon's gonna be, my value's $15 million, but what am I gonna get? What's my cut? Like how much of a cut are you gonna make? You're still gonna make $12 million? That's not a cut. That's a significant chunk of the cap.
Well, MacKinnon, of course, he took his deal when it was market value.
No, but he's saying no. He's saying I'm going to take a cut next deal.
I know.
I'm saying he's gonna market value is gonna be $15 million at that point.
Probably.
And he's gonna take 13. That's still a significant.
Maybe 11.
That's still a significant chunk of the cap.
Also with the Bruins, apparently, we talked about this earlier, or did we talk about it in the previous episode? I don't know. That Eric Engel said that he's heard that the Bruins aren't necessarily out on Kovalchuk because they have the room now.
Well, I heard they were also heavily looking at Chris Kreider too.
Still? Could you imagine? Because again, Kovalchuk makes less than $1 million. There could be a situation, and if I'm the Bruins, I'm saying, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go all in.
I think it depends on what the price is for Kreider. I think, obviously, you look at the Toffoli deal. I think he gets more than Toffoli.
Yes.
But what do you do at that point? You're not giving up next year's first. Do you give up a better prospect?
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave up another first.
I don't know about
I'm from the Bruins. I'm going all in.
I guess so, because I think this year's... you know what? I'm not even going to say it, because every time I say it, the year after, they're even better, so... Never mind.
And
never
also,
mind what I said.
Joe Thornton. Drafted by the Bruins, of course.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I saw people talking about, when he left, it wasn't on the best of terms.
Were we in school when that happened? Elementary school? I
don't even know.
Were we in kindergarten when that trade happened?
Yeah.
Let me look up Jumbo Joe Thornton and when he was last up.
Can I just talk to you about where Ondrej Kase would play? He'd play on the second line with DeBrusk and Krejci.
Yeah.
But that gives them a 1-2-3 of Bergeron, Krejci, and Charlie Coyle.
That's pretty good. I love David Krejci. By the way, his last year as a Bruin was 05-06.
Okay,
so I would be in kindergarten grade 1, and you a year younger than that. I think the bad blood has probably gone away since then.
Oh, probably, but I'm just telling you what people
Joe was a baby-faced man back then. Now he's got the skunk stripe, and he's...
I know, but people in Boston.
That's true. But anyway, they're going through the drive-through. They're maybe getting the double-double or something. Maybe that donut. But anyway, what do I have here?
Buffalo?
This team is... They're not buying. They're not selling. They're still trying to change their lane on the way to the store.
We're talking about Buffalo.
It's the Buffalo Sabres.
I'm not even sure what they do.
It's Sheary. Bogosian's just gone, and we hear that Ristolainen's on the block for a 5th straight year.
Honestly, there is 2 names that I think get traded.
Sheary and?
I think someone might bite on Evan Rodriguez, who has apparently been on the block.
Colorado? They want depth forward who are cheap.
I guess, he's making $2 million. I guess that's cheap for them.
How is he making $2 million?
I don't know. Not even sure. But you know what the thing is? I look at their team. They have a list of players who are up at the end of the year. Michael Frolik, if they want, they could probably get something for him. Sam Reinhart have to trade. Connor Sheary probably going to be traded.
Wait, hold on. They have to trade Sam Reinhart? Did you just say?
No, Connor Sheary.
Okay, I was about to say, sir.
Jimmy Vesey. I don't even know what you could get for him.
Ha.
Evan Rodriguez.
Ha.
Zemgus Girgensons. Johan Larsson. Curtis Lazar and Victor Olofsson.
That is, except Olofsson, that just sounds terrible. No wonder Will Chrysopoulos was just so upset when we were talking about the Sabres the other day. He was not happy.
No.
I don't know what they're gonna do, the Sabres.
I mean, they have their first, their second, their fourth, their fifth, and 2 sevenths.
I punched the mic and I'm so sorry.
And they don't have the third or the sixth. I believe they traded that in the Brandon Montour deal.
And they could have had a second for Scandella, but no.
Sorry, the third and the sixth were traded in the Jeff Skinner deal. I apologize.
Which was a good deal. Too bad they had to pay the Buffalo tax, and he's been...
That was a steal.
He's had a tough year.
Everyone there is having a tough year.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
So...
They're not going to trade Rasmus Ristolainen.
No, probably not.
Absolutely not. No way.
How about this, though? Detroit. Come on now.
Absolute
All
sellers.
must go. Luke Glendening, people want. Maybe Mike Green. If you want him, come get him.
I don't know if... Listen, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Luke Glendening gets traded, and I'll tell you why. Because the only person I've ever heard in my life who wants Luke Glendening is Mike Babcock.
I was about to say, yeah.
Only person. I have a couple names, or 3 names to be exact, that could potentially be moved. Mike Green, good player. I think a team might bite on Jonathan Bernier. He's 31, has this year and next year at $3 million. Not entirely sure.
He has that thing about him that he's not terrible numbers on a terrible team.
Right. And interestingly enough, Andreas Athanasiou.
Yeah, that's a weird one for me.
He's an RFA at the end of the year, arbitration eligible.
Darren Furr.
It seems like it's just the first time they went through this process. It seemed the contract dispute. It seemed difficult. I just think that's a guy that's moved. I don't know if it's now. It could potentially be at the end of the year. We'll see.
Apparently Dallas is interested. I think that was something
really
about the podcast. Yes, that they were looking. Apparently with the personality on that team, it's a bit of a question mark. Because apparently Athanasiou is a big personality. And Friedman's not someone who brings that kind of stuff up a lot. So the fact that he did makes me think, oh boy. And
that's interesting.
Malkin just had a pretty nasty goal. It's 3-3. My dear God, the Pittsburgh Penguins. We all forget how good this rivalry is, by the way. Oh, yeah. But, hey, the Florida Panthers. Okay, they're buyers, in my opinion. Obviously.
You think so?
Yeah, if Trocheck's getting dealt, it's for a partner for Aaron Ekblad. I just want them to make the playoffs. I really do. They've just been so close.
They're another team that listen, I'm not one to talk about consistency, but it just seems they've been up and down.
You're a consistent podcast host, Alex.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know. Full of them.
I don't know if they do much. I really don't. Because they're so up and down, that, okay, there's talks of Trocheck being on the block. What about, there's also been talks of Mike Hoffman,
Shut up about Hoffman, people.
Why?
Why would you trade him if you're trying to go for it?
But you don't know if Trocheck's on the block. If Trocheck's on the block, are you really going for it?
Because if you want a defensive for an Aaron Ekblad, yes. Because who else on their defense is of note beside him? Beside Ekblad? Oh, great. We tied up Anton Stroman for 5 years. You dummies.
I thought it was 3 years.
Was it It's still at 5.5.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're about verification here. I'll look it up.
Okay, but if you're trading Vincent Trocheck, who's your second line center?
Hold on a minute. Stroman.
Dominic Toninato. That's your second line center.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. So explain to me, you trade Vincent Trocheck. Go ahead. Trade Vincent Trocheck and tell me who your second line center is going to be.
Huberdeau plays center.
You're not going to play Huberdeau at center on the second line. That makes no sense.
Then is it really that good of an idea to trade him in the first place? I mean, and by him
Absolutely
I mean
not.
Trocheck?
No, it doesn't make sense. If you're a team who wants to make the playoffs, listen, the Atlantic Division third, whoever the hell comes in third place, you're not getting past the first round. You think the Florida Panthers are going to get past the Boston Bruins or the Tampa Bay Lightning?
By the way, just a quick second, they do have two center prospects we forgot about. Alexi Hiponiemi, who was in Finland's World Junior team when they won gold, and of course Henrik Borgstrom, former Holy Beaker winner. So,
but you're going to play them second line center now and going into the playoffs.
No, but I'm just saying that those are options. But then the only thing that makes sense is if they take a year or two reset, but then it's like you can't do that with Bobrovsky. You can't do that. You can't. Do you really want to waste another year or two of those gorgeous deals for Barkov and Huberdeau?
Question. Let's say they do sell off Trocheck now because it kind of, you know what? You can probably get something for him because he has this year and next year.
And a great deal.
Pretty good deal. You want to get someone for Ekblad.
Duncan Keith.
God.
Please don't do that.
Why not? If you're going for it, you don't trade Vincent Trocheck. But if you don't really care, say, you know what, we make the playoffs, we don't make the playoffs, that's fine. Then go ahead and trade Vincent Trocheck. I bet you can go find a second line center in free agency, and I don't think anyone's gonna have a problem signing with the Panthers.
You're gonna give them money. A second line center on a free agency.
That is if you trade Vincent Trocheck and bring someone else in.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, their plan because they don't have. Okay, you want to bring up Borgstrom or Hiponiemi, you can't play them second line. You can't give them second line minutes right away in the NHL. They're going to get. It's not going to be fun.
No. Well, I think we move on from Florida. Not much else there. To the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, I have some good names.
On my notes I have, because Daniel was going to be here, I said World Junior star Duclair. At this point, safe to say he's staying in Ottawa.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Good for him.
I have a couple. Okay, so I have Vlad Nemestikov and Tyler Ennis, obviously, because both of the players...
They've both been sitting.
Obviously, you have Pajot. How about Craig Anderson? I don't think he's going to be moved, but I think someone could potentially say,
you could take him for like a third. They're all-time. I think they're all-time winner for them.
You know a name, and I guess we'll get to it when we do Colorado, but you know a name that apparently is on the market? Tyson Jost.
Jost, yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I thought Soderbergh. He's in
He's in Arizona. That would be a name in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, what do you get for, because he's young, I don't know what is going back. I have, obviously, Nemestikov, Pajot, Ennis, and Duclair are the guys who would most likely be traded.
Yes.
Is that something you're interested in, packaging a couple of them and sending them to Colorado to bring back?
No.
Tyson Jost, why not?
Because you're doing deals with Montreal. Hang up.
No, you're not.
Yes, leave the Sens alone.
I'm telling you, Tyson Jost would be a really good name for the Sens.
No, I don't like it.
That's because you're a Montreal fan.
Of course.
You're being biased.
Shout out to TJ Oshie.
This isn't a good podcast.
4-3. This is what'd you just say?
I said it's not a good podcast because you're being biased.
No.
Yeah.
We're both biased, let's be honest here.
I haven't been biased this entire episode.
Yeah,
last episode.
It does feel like Pajot is probably staying.
I don't know. They just started contract talks.
But there's a long time till July 1st.
I that's fine, but the trade deadline is tomorrow. You need to decide if you're going to move him or not.
If they do keep him, he ends up signing though. Let's talk about one timeline.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
There's no issue, but I feel like you could really get something for. There was talks that the Islanders were willing to give up a first. But that was in November when he was on a run.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you just got a third for Dylan DeMello. I think that, I'm surprised. I thought, who's so heavily talked about. I just assumed they get more for him.
Apparently they wanted a second, but it just didn't happen.
I can imagine how many people want Dylan DeMello at a second.
Well, Paul Maurice might want a first. Coach is pouring, my dear God.
Oh, God.
Anything else on the Sens?
Nope.
All right, then. We talked about the Habs earlier. So the last team in the Atlantic Division, probably one of the most boring teams. I have them unloading the car because I think it's completely fine if Tampa Bay don't do anything else for the rest.
They're not going to do anything. They just traded for Blake Coleman.
Yeah.
They might make a depth move. I would like
Nemestikov, bring him back for nothing.
No. I don't think they bring back Nemestikov. I think they look at a depth piece for their defense. Could they be in? Has anyone said that they were in on Bogosian?
I don't think I've seen anything.
That would be an interesting move, just as a depth piece. I wouldn't be surprised whatever depth defensemen are out there that they are in on.
Shattenkirk. I keep meaning to bring him up on the show.
Okay.
He's been good.
Not too bad.
Not $7 million per, but he's been good.
Oh, yeah.
He's been really good. So good for Tampa. Like they need another thing going for them. Alex, could we take 2 minutes before we go into the West, please? My throat is killing me, and I need to drink some water. So, After the break, we'll be back. The Western Conference, and we will start with the Chicago Blackhawks. Alex, we're back.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm a little sick, so I just needed to collect myself there. Also, I've gone back to holding the microphone like I used to for the Western Conference. Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know a lot about what the Blackhawks are doing most days, but what I do know is that it's safe to say that Robin Lehner is gone, in my opinion.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think there's a couple teams who could potentially call on Robin Lehner. One of them obviously being the Carolina Hurricanes. And the second one being the Colorado Avalanche.
Yes.
Depending on how long Philip Grubauer is out. I believe it was, I read indefinitely, which is never a good sign. But, they just re-signed Pavel. Avalanche just re-signed Pavel Francouz.
Great name.
But back to Chicago, probably, you know what? If I'm the Blackhawks, I say screw it and just deal both Lehner and Crawford.
How funny is it that Brandon Saad's on the block?
I don't know. Is he on the block, or are they just open to moving him?
Regardless,
because there's been one team in particular I heard a bit about when it comes to Brandon Saad, and that is one Edmonton Oilers.
I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna do it because obviously cap things. But that's a guy who could play with McDavid.
Oh, anyone can.
Yes, but he's a better hockey player than half the players he's ever played with.
I just never want to forget that this is the team that gave up Panarin, and look at him now.
Oh, for sure.
That's just what I love to laugh about.
100%.
Also, a player I refuse to give up on, Erik Gustafsson.
Oh, he's definitely getting moved.
Where do you think he's going?
Ooh. Can I be honest?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Shoot.
Be as honest as you like.
I'll have to be fair. I think he's going to Toronto. No, I'm joking. He's obviously not going to Toronto. I think a team that could potentially call on Erik Gustafsson is the New York Islanders.
They do need a D.
Left-handed. He is left-handed. I don't think Andy Green is enough.
No. Swedish too?
Erik Gustafsson, sorry.
What do you give up for him? A first? If I'm Chicago, I say you don't start with a first and I'm hanging up the phone.
You might, because I don't. Oh, I have an idea. How about the Vegas Golden Knights? Sorry, just kind of came to me.
So, Chris Johnson did say there was rumors that they're linked, but then he said he doesn't think there's anything to it. Even though I agree. Imagine the left side, guys like Nate Schmidt and then Erik Gustafsson.
How about the Pittsburgh Penguins? I know I'm just throwing names out there at this point, but
unfair, so it could probably happen. Because that's how Pittsburgh works.
Or yeah.
God damn them.
That'd be insane. I was gonna say Tampa, but I don't think there's anything wrong with their left side. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with Tampa most days.
No, there's never anything wrong.
Cap issues doesn't exist. But anyway, Colorado.
Buyers.
Absolutely.
They, with Rantanen out and Kadri out, that just doesn't look good for them. So I think they could potentially look and bringing in an impact forward rather than a depth forward. So I have some names: Tatar, Trocheck.
Say it right.
Thomas Tatar.
No.
I'm gonna
Thomas.
Not saying it like that. Vincent Trocheck, because they have cap space, so they can bring in a guy who's for next year too.
Tatar.
Chris Kreider.
Unfair. But yes.
Vlad Nemestikov.
Carey Price.
JG Pageau.
I think all of those are really good nods, to be honest with you.
I have here, with Tyson Jost on the move, here's my idea. Jost to Ottawa for like Pageau plus.
You don't
I
think...
don't even care.
Do you think they could look at Kovalchuk as well?
Yeah, they could. I think... Other than I think most of those players on my list are better than him except Nemestikov. And yeah, that's about it.
I get it.
Because I get Pageau's a center, which automatically makes him better than everyone, apparently.
Thomas Tatar.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were in on a goalie with Grubauer out. I have them in on Leonard or Crawford.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It depends on how long Grubauer's out, and I don't really have it.
Not Craig Anderson?
No.
Really?
I don't think they... At the end of the day, I put Craig Anderson down, but I don't think they move Craig Anderson.
You want Charlie Lindgren?
No. Man, the guy doesn't have
Keith Kincaid?
No, neither of them are good enough.
Keith Kincaid?
Not at all. He can play in the AHL.
I'll take a 7th.
I'll give you, like...
Or Bowen Byram.
Future whatever.
Alex Newhook.
No.
All right.
You see?
Anything...
Right? Like, they go for a goal. What other goalies are out there? Ryan Miller, I brought up earlier.
Aaron Dell?
Yep, I said Aaron Dell that's something you could get something for. But we'll see what they do. I really think it depends on how long Grubauer's out. I think they really like Francouz, put up crazy numbers.
Well, moving on in the Central Division. The Dallas Stars gotta go quick, gotta go fast. Andreas Athanasiou is the only real move I see them doing.
I don't think there are any major additions that the team needs to make.
Just speed.
I think they could potentially bring in some depth UFA pieces. So maybe a Nemestikov or someone like that. Maybe a Tyler Ennis. I don't think
Nate Thompson.
I don't think they make any big moves.
Also, anytime we've talked about Pageau, I think it's also fair to say Derek Grant could be one of those options as well.
Yeah, I just think Pageau is better than Derek Grant.
Yeah, but the Sens aren't going to do it right.
Probably.
Anything else on the Stars? There's not much.
No.
We're not doing Eastern bias here. There's just a bit less to do with the Central so far. But as I say that, we go to the Minnesota Wild. Assets they still have, Dumba, and a real defenseman. I have a soft spot for Jonas Brodin. A defenseman who knows how to play defense. Logs a lot of minutes. Reliable.
I said he'd be a good guy in Montreal earlier this year. I said when they were in the hunt, I said they should have gone after Jonas Brodin.
Michael Russo suggested that there could be a Max Domi Jonas Brodin deal. And I was like, I like it, but Domi? No.
I don't think they're going to be that loud on trade deadline simply because looking at what the team is, I don't know how much they can actually sell off. Now, obviously, we talk about Brodin and Dumba. Another name that popped out to me is Mikko Koivu.
Apparently, he doesn't want to move.
He doesn't want to leave, so that name's kind of just out of here. So for me, it's Brodin and Dumba. I don't think either of them are moved.
Saku wouldn't have been selfish.
What do you get from Mikko Koivu?
What, a depth center, play great two-way play, character guy. Anything.
I don't think it really matters.
Whatever, Minnesota. But hey, they got a great return on the Zucker deal.
Exactly.
Fired their coach, which is kind of weird because apparently
still doesn't make sense. But
God, I want Bruce Boudreau to write a book so badly. But anyway, This is a team that, in my opinion, continues to disappoint me. And
the Nashville Predators.
The Nashville Predators. And probably one of the biggest things, if this guy's getting moved, it won't be until probably the summer. But it's Ryan Johansson, or as I call him, Ryan Joke-Hansen. I hate this team.
I heard that 31 Thoughts, was it?
I believe it was, yes.
They were talking about, if they don't do well this season, if the season really is a big failure, that they look at moving one of the core guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they sit 3 points back. I think they still sit 3 points back. Sorry, this was my notes from a couple days ago. They actually sit 1 point back now, with 2 games in hand, on Winnipeg. So that, and they sit how many points out of the division spot? Oh, they sit 8 points out of a division spot now.
I forgot they're in the Central.
Third place. But they have a couple UFAs that for this year. Craig Smith.
Oh, wait, hold on. I don't know why. I love Craig Smith.
I know you've told me this before, and I don't really understand why.
I just think he is the best ever. He's a depth centerman. He can play the wing. Nice guy, great hair, decent looking dude. I just really, really, really like Craig Smith. I don't know why.
I don't understand why. Okay. But I have Mikael Granlund.
Great player.
Yeah, they got him last year in the Kevin Fiala deal. I thought he played quite well since after that point on from the season, after playing after playing in Nashville for the rest of the year. This season he hasn't had that much success. I just don't think he gets moved. But, if they really want to, and if they think they're not going to be a playoff team, I think they could get something for them, for both of them.
Yeah, I also want to say that. You've heard it here first. Pekka Rinne is toast. He's chopped liver.
You think so?
He's done.
Why is that?
He's just bad.
Okay.
He's bad. He's done.
But they did the Predators made a really big trade last night.
Alex, don't.
They traded Mika Salomaki for Ben Harpur.
The St. Louis Blues pick up Marco Scandella.
That was quite interesting. I'm going to make no comment on that.
Marco. And depending on... I said that the Islanders were a stealth team, but my stealth team, depending on Tarasenko, whether he's coming back or not, the St. Louis Blues, I think could be a great stealth team for Chris Kreider.
Yeah, I have Kreider, looking at Kreider, or if they don't want to bring in a big name like that, if the price is too high for them, Pajot and Nemestikov, same old guys.
Just a quick shout out, the Capitals, what a big win for them.
Absolutely.
Marco Scandella.
Well, he was brought in simply because Jay Bouwmeester is out.
Who probably will not play for the rest of the season.
I believe that was confirmed.
It was confirmed?
I believe so.
But, I mean, hey, heart condition, you should probably take some time, Jay.
Probably.
You've won your cup.
But this deal just makes Buffalo look really stupid at the end of the day.
Oh, that's what matters the most, really.
Right.
The Blues.
But I could see them being. I don't necessarily know if they go in for a big name, but I could see them. I could see them making a few depth moves.
Yeah, nothing significant outside of possibly Kreider, really. That's a big name, but again, there's just...
I just don't know if they're willing to give up the price, because that's a first and a prospect, something like that, for him, for Kreider.
Yeah. But we'll finish off the Central Division talking about the Winnipeg Jets. Dylan DeMello is a porn star in the eyes of Paul Maurice. They brought in Cody Eakin, and I just see a lot of the moves they're making, and it's the same as last year. Depth.
Yeah, man. I think they brought in Cody Eakin simply because Brian Little confirmed out for the rest of the year, had to get a surgery again.
It's tough.
And I think I don't know who's playing second line center for them now. I believe
Adam Lowry.
Adam Lowry.
Great name.
It is Andrew Kopp, not Adam Lowry.
Oh, should have given it to Adam. Great name.
He's not. Yeah, I believe he's injured because he's not even on the starting lineup. He is on the IR. And I think they're kind of happy there. Cody Eakin, I guess good third line center. I'd imagine they want to bring in another right-handed defenseman. I heard they were in on Bogosian as well, which is funny because he used to play for the Atlanta Thrashers, and I believe he was there the first year.
Yeah, he was in the Evander Kane deal.
Yes, he was. Has Dustin Byfuglien played his last NHL game?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I think someone will look at him.
There was talk around the NHL that he played his last NHL game.
No, I think he's coming back for sure.
But what the thing is for me is there still this debate going on? Is there still the arbitration going on, or what? Because why haven't you just terminated his contract?
Apparently, they were looking at every available. There's someone on TSN was saying that they're looking at every available asset, every available route, any sort of situation where you can trade him, whatever. I don't know, deal him and get the cap space, guys. What are you doing?
But if you terminate his contract, they still get the cap space. And who's going to take him? He's not playing. I can't imagine Dustin Byfuglien is playing this year simply because he has not even started skating.
No.
And I can imagine he's still a hefty man.
Yeah, he is a hefty man.
So, what are you going to get from Dustin Byfuglien? Nothing this year.
No.
If they move him, it's going to be in the summer.
Conditional, 6th.
If he plays.
Yeah. Shall we start our final division, the Pacific Division?
Sure.
The Anaheim Ducks, I like the return for Ondrej Kase, of course, Axel Anderson a first, and of course they're using their cap space, taking on David Backes.
They did say they were going to take on salary.
Well, Montreal take note. Also, of course, if they're going to move anyone, it's going to be Derek Grant.
How about Michael Del Zotto?
Michael Del Zaster, you mean?
Depth D.
No.
Why not?
I don't like Michael Del Zotto.
Okay, but I'm going to talk about Michael Del Zotto. I think he's a player that team goes in on. Depth D, literally. Here's a name I have. I don't really think he's going to be traded before the trade deadline, but I really like this name. Jakob Silfverberg. And I know he has 5 years at 5.25, but I just think that a team could just pick him up.
Yeah.
There's 3 untouchables on this team for me. Or right. Four. Manson, Lindholm, Fowler, Raquel.
Of course. And then you're excluding Sam Steele.
Yeah, I'm talking about the core guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think if someone asked about Ryan Getzlaf, I think they'd be more than willing to trade Ryan Getzlaf.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that.
That's a lot of cap space they could use somewhere else.
That is a legacy player there.
So
he's still useful, and Corey Perry, who's a ghost.
Corey Perry's not on that team anymore.
I know, but that's what I mean. They bought him out because he was terrible. Oh.
I know we talked about this earlier about Carolina. At the end of the day, I just don't think Ryan Miller's going to be moved because he has a no-trade clause and probably doesn't want to leave Anaheim.
The Arizona Coyotes.
I don't have much.
Darcy Kemper is apparently on a conditioning stint with the Tuscan.
Roadrunners.
It is Tuscan, right?
Yes, it is.
I almost got them mixed up with the Tuscan Raiders from Star Wars.
Nope.
Season 7 of. I'm sorry, Arizona. I don't need to take a second here.
Oh, great.
So the last season of Clone Wars has come out on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's coming out 1 episode a week. I know.
I am so mad about that.
It's like watching it on TV. I know. What a difficult thing to do.
Scumbags.
What a difficult thing to do, I
know. They're bargain hunters in my opinion, but they want some scoring.
I don't think they're going to do a whole lot because they already went all in with Taylor Hall.
And they're not trading him.
No, they can't. It looked really bad.
Yeah, and he's not re-signing there. He's been talking about free agency for years.
But you never know. Things happen.
Calgary.
As don't Friedman think they trade TJ Brody.
As Friedman said, their last hurrah with this group.
Probably. I don't think they trade TJ Brody. Hamnick and Mark Giordano are both on IR. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in another defenseman.
They want to do a hockey deal. We've heard from headlines.
I'm surprised they didn't bring. Let me pull this up here. There was a list of trades that happened for defensemen. Scandella, DeMello,
Dylan,
Andy. Well, maybe I don't think they'd get Andy Green. Alec Martinez,
Dylan.
What?
Brendan Dillon.
Dillon. Sorry. They didn't go in on any of that. That just seems a little bit weird to me.
It feels like they never do anything on trade deadline. I mean, there was the Zucker deal rumored last year, didn't happen. They tried to make the Kadri deal. He nixed that more because he didn't want to leave Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced they're really going to do anything. Unless it's a, quote, hockey deal, which, again, is not what happens at the deadline.
No, I don't think that happens either.
I can't wait until they trade
Gaudreau. I don't think they have much to sell off either right now.
No.
I think, there was all these talks about Mark Jankowski. I just don't think that.
Who's going to give you anything decent from Mark Jankowski?
I don't know. No one.
Well, Gaudreau's going to get moved at the draft is how I see the Flames, really.
Well, maybe.
A third of the way through the division, and the Ducks are the ones that are impressing us the most.
Hey, man.
The Oilers, they've been linked apparently to Mike Green and Tyler Ennis. I believe this was this was mentioned in the second half of headlines last night.
That's interesting. I think they're going to end up being buyers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Holland said he's willing to give up his first rounder as long as it's a rental. No, as long as it's not a rental, sorry. As long as it's not a rental. And at this point, I think any potential moves would either be a winger and or a defenseman, considering the injuries to Clefbaum and the injury to McDavid.
I forgot Connor's hurt because Draisaitl is just such a good job.
Yeah. Also, if you bring in a winger, that's someone you can play with Connor McDavid. I have a couple names. Obviously, I have Thomas Tatar. Okay. And Mike Hoffman.
They've also, I believe, been linked to Pajot for a while.
That is true. That would be a good third line center. That would be a very good third line center for the Edmonton Oilers. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's something they do. It depends on what the asking price for Pajot is.
And do anything on Jesse Puljujarvi?
I don't think they move him. They're not going to move him for a rental at all.
I think Friedman put that out on the 31 Thoughts.
I believe so.
Dang.
I don't think they do much.
I agree.
With Jesse Puljujarvi.
Yesy.
I think they. I think they do make a couple moves, some depth moves, for sure. They're in a fight for the first. The thing with the team is that they're in a fight for first in the division.
Yeah.
And they're cap constrained.
They are. Yeah, so they're a Pacific team.
They are a Pacific team.
Every single Pacific team that is good.
That is indeed true.
Is doing that. The LA Kings, they're bad, but I don't think they're going to be bad for that much longer.
Why not? Because they have all these good players?
Yeah, shout out Gabe Vilardi, who's had a lot of injury problems.
Yeah.
First NHL game, first career shot, scores a goal. I'm really happy. Great return for Alec Martinez and Tyler Toffoli. And Jeff Carter and Trevor Lewis seem to be the guys that if anyone's being moved, it's those guys. But just good for the Kings.
Well, I have a couple other names here. I don't know if they'd be interested. I think they're kind of going to be quiet this trade deadline. I mean, they could potentially take on salary. They have $6.5 million this year. Trevor Lewis is a name, obviously, that's been talked about. I haven't heard much about these two, but could be moved. Derek Forbort and Ben Hutton.
Yes.
UFAs at the end of the year could get you something, potentially. But I think so far, for what they've got for Martinez, Campbell and Clifford, and Tyler Toffoli, I think they've had a good month.
Yeah.
So far.
Their two biggest moves over the past few years have both been done prior to the deadline, that being Toffoli, Martinez, and of course the Jake Muzzin deal last year. The Sharks, Brendan Dillon, a good return. The guys that still are probably going to move, depth guys, Malcolm Karlsson, Barclay Goodrow, and of course we talked about him a lot today, Jumbo Joe Thornton, who said...
I'm just throwing ideas out here.
Okay.
So obviously playoffs are completely out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have their first round pick.
Oof.
Just traded Brendan Dillon. Obviously, you have Joe Thornton. How about Patrick Marleau? That's one name I have. What do you think about Patrick Marleau being traded?
I hope if they trade him, they send him somewhere along with Jumbo Joe.
Okay.
Just that's my little storytelling self.
Okay. And a name that we brought up earlier today, Aaron Dell.
Yeah.
Moved? You get moved for him? get something for him. Sorry.
If somebody offers you a decent price, if it's like I don't know, somebody's like, hey, I'll give you a third, I'm sure they would be like, yeah, no worries, guy.
Okay.
Go ahead. But
how about this one? Sorry. Kevin Labanc.
I think that's a draft move, if anything.
But he's going to be an RFA.
Yeah. You
don't think they move him now?
No. I think there would be more noise about that kind of deal.
I don't know, man.
I think if Kevin Labanc was about to be moved, I think Jeff Merrick would be trying to find out everything about it.
Probably.
In my opinion.
I just feel like, he signed the 1 year, $1 million, and this season, it's not been the same for him.
Yeah.
I wonder if he wishes he signed that longer term contract.
I don't know. The Vancouver Canucks.
I don't think they're going to do much else this year. We had the discussion last episode.
If anything, it's Simmons because they want tough guy because, of course, Michael Ferland is.
Well, they're going to have to figure out how to bring him in.
Well, apparently, if they did this for Simmons, I don't know what they're thinking, but apparently Olli Juolevi's been throwing around as an asset.
But that's the thing. It's not the assets that's become the problem for them. And we saw, I believe it was Pierre LeBrun. Was it Pierre LeBrun?
I believe so.
About the cap space.
That's why, instead of buyer sellers, I have the Canucks listed as using their mom's credit card.
I don't think they're going to do anything else. I really don't.
Why do they want to trade Troy Stecher? I don't get that.
I don't think. Who said they wanted to trade Troy? Who said they wanted to trade him?
Friedman was talking about it on Headlines.
That they wanted to trade him, or was it because of the Barrie talk? Because I have not heard a single thing about Troy Stecher unless it was about Tyson Barrie.
No, it was about him. The Barrie stuff, I think, was more about TJ Brody and a one-for-one there. But Stetcher's name is out there. Which is, I don't like that. Because you wouldn't have to do that again if you didn't sign those stupid contracts for your depth guys. But that's neither here nor there. Go listen to last episode about my feelings for the Vancouver Canucks. The second last team on the docket here, the Vegas Golden Knights. Martinez for 2 seconds. They're interested in Tyson Barrie, apparently, but I don't know if there's anything else for Vegas.
I don't think they do much else. Obviously, I think they might be interested in another defenseman. Obviously, they have interest in Barrie. But if they do make any other type of move, I think they do make some type of depth forward move. They have a bottom six of Chandler Stevenson, or I guess they don't have Cody Eakin anymore, and William Carrier, and Thomas Nosek, Nicholas Roy, and Ryan Reeves.
Nicholas Roy.
So I think they bring in another depth forward.
Well, Alex, our last team on the situation here, the Seattle Krakens.
That's not a real team yet.
Yeah, but you know what?
They're not doing anything.
Keep them in your thoughts. Maybe they're going to hire a coach. There's plenty of options out there. I don't
think they hire a coach until next year at least.
Yeah. All right. I will check Twitter for a last go around, see if there is any sort of breaking news. Siren Sounder. See you Tuesday, Davey. David Ayers will be in the building on Tuesday for Carolina, and he's gonna do the little siren thing they have. Good for them.
Great.
Love it. Did you see Mike Commodore's tweet?
No.
An hour ago. David Ayers, your days driving the Zamboni in Toronto are finished. The Leafs hate you now, but the Hurricanes love you. Hashtag pack your bleep and make your way to Carolina.
Oh, just great. I love that man.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, I think that is everything for today, ladies and gentlemen. In about 24 hours, this podcast...
It's going to be completely outdated.
Exactly. So if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, though, if you're on iTunes, Spotify, anything you can, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast, leave a review or rating, all that type of stuff. You should check out the show's Instagram page and, of course, the YouTube channel for clips of the show and all that, as well as my YouTube channel. Check out all of my, Alex, and Daniel's. That wasn't grammatically correct. I don't care. Check out every member of the show's social media in the description. Check out Daniel's stuff because he's writing for the Eye Opener. And, of course, send him some love for his TSN interview, his one coming up with the score, and best wishes if Sportsnet gives him one as well, because they should, because he is awesome. Alex, I think that's it. Do you have anything else to say?
Absolutely not.
All right. Goodbye, and we'll see you Wednesday?
Yes.
Wednesday. Goodbye.